The masks made in this video are intended for decorative use, not for wear. Some of the materials used could be harmful to your health. If you do try this at home, do your research, follow all safety precautions, and have fun.
One man against the elements. A real test of one's...
Taylor, would you mind giving me your gun?
Sure, I have no problem whatsoever handing over my gun to anyone who asks politely. Well, now, wait just a minute. You're all apes. Every last filthy, stinking one of you. Yeah, apes. What in the name of Ben-Hur? Wait a second. No, it can't be. Ethan, your god is an ape. This is a madhouse. A madhouse. You maniacs. Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty apes. I'm wearing a loincloth, for God's sake. $80 million budget.
Oh, no.
We didn't make a single cent on that movie.
Wow, that's
We took a bath.
huge budget for how it turned out.
Well, a lot of that is back-end percentages. It's hard to explain. But basically, listen, we're bankrupt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you live and you learn.
Well, we do, hopefully. And that's why instead of action figure sci-fi blockbusters, this week, we're going to be attempting to make Ben Cooper-style Planet of the Apes masks. Now, those old Ben Cooper masks were the classic Halloween mask.
Oh, yeah.
Molded plastic half masks held on with a really fragile elastic string.
Yeah, they came packaged with a costume in a flimsy cardboard box with a plastic window so you could see the mask.
Yeah.
And they were really popular from the 1960s up through the early 90s.
They were, and the Ben Cooper Planet of the Apes masks specifically simulated the mutton chops and the pompadour of the ape hair with molded plastic. It was hollow, it was lightweight, but we don't have a vacuum form machine.
No.
So we needed to build up those parts of the mask with an armature.
Yes.
And that kind of meant that our versions of the mask weren't going to be as lightweight.
Well, our masks are technically for display.
True.
So as far as the sculpting goes, this method works fine.
Yeah, visually it works. You saw the masks in the opening movie, and visually, they look the way we wanted them to look.
Right.
Hanging on a wall, yeah, works like a charm. But usually, when we make a mask, we go right in with the foam clay because that is very lightweight.
Yeah, it is.
But we knew we'd be going through a lot of it with all that hair, and that stuff's just a little pricey. Yeah, so we thought we'd save a little of that money we lost on that action figure movie by building over an armature of foil and paper mache.
Right, and they still wear just fine.
They wear fine.
Right, they're just a little heavier. But remember, aside from saving a little money, this method also gave us a chance to try out fast mache for the first time.
Oh, that's right. So if you haven't used fast mache, it's very similar to sculpt mold.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't used sculpt mold, they're basically both paper fibers and some sort of binder that when you wet them, you can shape them the way you want and then let it dry and harden.
I really liked working with that fast mache.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the problem with it is that even after we let it dry, even after the water evaporated from the form, it was still pretty heavy.
Yeah, which isn't optimal for a mask that you might want to wear for a while.
No.
So once all the paper mache and fast mache has dried, it is time for our good old friend, foam clay.
Yeah, and this stuff is lightweight.
It is. And we worked side by side on these face sculpts at the workbench. If you remember,
I do.
We swung the camera back and forth.
It's not a competition.
Well, no, of course it's not a competition. I'm actually glad because I think while I worked a little faster than you did, in all honesty, I like your sculpt better.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's something about the smile. You really captured that old Planet of the Apes personality.
Thank you.
Oh, here's a little Planet of the Apes trivia. Do you know who designed the ape makeup for the original Planet of the Apes movies?
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, Rick Baker?
You could not be more wrong.
Okay.
That would have been my first guess. It would have been my
Yeah.
first guess too, but actually it was a makeup artist named Dan Strepek.
I don't think I'm familiar with Dan Strepek, so I never
Right.
would have guessed him.
Yeah, I mean, his name wasn't on the tip of my tongue either,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently he was a legend in the business, and he worked on all the Apes movies, the Planet of the Apes TV series, I don't know if you ever
Okay.
saw that, the Poseidon Adventure,
All right.
Grease,
Oh,
Annie,
okay.
Footloose,
Wow.
The Burbs.
Uh-huh.
Actually, he became like Tom Hanks' personal makeup guy for a while.
Wow. He really got around.
He's a legend. Okay, like we said, the hair was an important part of these ape masks.
Oh, yeah.
It's the whole reason we're using the paper mache.
We didn't really know how to make it look like hair, and then you just started dragging your thumbnail up and down in the clay, and it started to take shape.
Yeah, I was flailing at that point to come up with an idea, but we both ended up doing it and really liking the effect.
Yeah. And then after it dried, we both used the Dremel to make what hopefully looks like finer strands of hair texture.
I think it works out in the end.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so while I set up the paint stations, let's thank our subscribers and everyone who's been watching and liking and sharing and commenting.
We really appreciate the support.
We do.
And of course, this includes our supporters on Patreon.
Yeah, and this week in the video tiers of the Patreon, we've uploaded a longer, more in-depth video on the sculpting process. We go over some of the tools and the techniques we use on this foam clay because it feels a little different from regular clay.
Yeah.
And we also share our opinions of the original 5-film Planet of the Apes series.
I love that series.
Don't spoil it. Don't
Okay,
spoil it.
sorry.
But yeah, in preparation for this mask video, you and I watched all 5 of the original movies
We did.
back to back. And I think overall there is a hopeful message to be found.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that much. As hopeful a message as can be found in a post-apocalyptic hellscape where violent primates round up humans that they trade as chattel.
So brutal.
They hunt them for sport. But it's a series of hope. It's full of hope. Like, I hope we never end up on the Planet of
Right.
the Apes because we're doomed.
We wouldn't stand a
absolutely.
chance.
No,
We're
not at
also
all.
planning on making a more detailed post about the design and construction of that classic Ben Cooper style Halloween costume box.
Yes. That old window box was almost as much fun as the mask and the costume inside.
Oh, yes.
So we had to figure out a way to work it into this project. Let's talk about the box briefly here.
We wanted this design to look like the old Halloween costume boxes from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. The graphics, the plastic window.
Yeah, so I designed it in Affinity Photo, a more than adequate alternative to Photoshop, by the
good.
way. I left a little spot on that headstone for us to sign our work. I drew a little picture of Michelle.
Hey!
Oh, come on. I also drew a little picture of me.
All right. Fair's fair.
And then we went on an exhausting quest into the Forbidden Zone, like Taylor and Nova,
Right.
trying to find someone, anyone,
Yes.
who would print out our design on something akin to cardstock.
I can't believe how hard it was to find someone to do this.
I think it's because we only wanted 2 box lids.
Oh.
I think if we'd wanted 10 dozen,
Ah.
I think it would have been easier to find takers.
Okay.
In any case, let's see how it all turned out. First, the masks. I think these look great. They look like deluxe versions of the old Ben Cooper Planet of the Apes masks.
Right? Hand painted and with a matte finish.
Yeah.
The old plastic masks were very shiny.
They were. These masks also, I think, do a pretty good job of evoking that same Planet of the Apes aesthetic.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as Halloween masks go, they've got a lot of personality. They've,
What's what's happening here?
I don't know, but just let it happen, you magnificent ape of a woman.
Ape of a woman. All right, let's box these up and see how they look in the packages.
If I saw these on a shelf, I would buy them without hesitation.
Right?
This feels like we traveled back in time to 1973 and just bought the coolest Planet of the Apes masks
I
they
would
had.
have begged my parents to buy me these.
Yeah, me too.
My mom refused to buy me Ben Cooper costumes.
What?
She said they were cheap garbage.
Well,
So I wore a lot of homemade stuff.
Why would you come in and ruin a perfectly good video with this horrible tale of your terrible homemade Halloween costumes?
These weren't terrible.
I
They were
was
just
assuming.
maybe not as cool.
Well, I think she would have bought you these.
Yeah.
These are not cheap garbage.
They're not.
These are quality masks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to see us make more quality masks, check out the video link.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun with this ape project.
I have fun every time we make masks.
Definitely.
But this time, I also had fun eating 8 bananas because you kept reshooting this outro.
We all make sacrifices for our art, Michelle. Just muscle through it.